So picture the scene for a second. It's the 106th minute of the 2026 World Cup final.
Right. The tension is just absolutely suffocating at that point.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
Spain versus Argentina.
Yeah.
And Ferran Torres finally finds the back of the net. And it ends up being the only goal of the match.
Just that one breakthrough.
Exactly. So eventually, the final whistle blows,
Mm-hmm.
and Spain are the champions of the world. And usually, I mean, this is where the story naturally concludes, right?
Yeah, the confetti falls, the captain lifts the trophy, and everyone just goes home.
Yeah, the broadcast fades out. But in this specific case, that final whistle, it wasn't an ending at all. It was actually the ignition of a powder keg.
It was absolute chaos. I mean, what happened after the football stop is really the real story we are looking at today.
Yeah.
Because we're analyzing a complete, just systemic meltdown on the biggest stage imaginable and the shockwaves that it sent through the entire sport.
And that is really our mission for this deep dive. We've got a massive stack of sources in front of us today.
So many sources.
Right. Post-match interviews, quotes from the mix zones, and just hours of TV studio analyses broadcast across 3 continents.
It was everywhere.
It really was. We're going to explore how the biggest legends in the sport delivered this unanimous and honestly brutal verdict on the match.
Brutal's the right word.
Yeah, because even if you don't follow football closely, you can appreciate the raw human drama of this event. We are looking at a classic, almost philosophical clash here, like a disciplined collective machine going up against a team heavily reliant on emotional momentum.
And, the human element is what makes these sources so compelling to begin with. They don't just recap a football game. They give us this psychological window into what happens to the human mind when it is completely, just systematically deprived of control.
Think about it. Have you ever watched a high-stakes situation, maybe like a courtroom trial or a massive corporate negotiation or a championship fight where someone's brilliant calculated strategy causes their opponent to just completely unravel?
Just totally lose it.
Yes, not just lose on the scoreboard, but absolutely lose their minds. Because that is exactly what played out in front of billions of people.
And to understand that unraveling, you really have to understand the suffocation that preceded it.
Right, the setup.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The post-match explosion, it didn't just happen in a vacuum. It was the direct result of 120 minutes of sheer tactical deprivation. I mean, Spain didn't just beat Argentina, they basically erased them from the pitch.
Well, let's look at the numbers because they are staggering.
Yeah.
So Spain wins 1-0 in extra time, but 1-0 scoreline makes it sound like a close competitive match.
Which it really wasn't.
No. The statistic that jumps out of these sources is wild. Argentina, the defending champions, led by Lionel Messi, they had 0 shots in the first half.
Just 0.
0. And over the entire 120 minutes of the match, they didn't manage a single shot on target.
I mean, for a team of Argentina's caliber with all their attacking talent, a 0 in that column isn't just a bad day at the office.
Right.
That is the result of an opponent proactively dismantling your ability to function.
Exactly. I was trying to think of how to visualize this, and it's not like Spain parked a bus in front of the goal and just defended for 2 hours.
Yeah, no.
It was more like a contracting net. Like every time an Argentine player touched the ball, the holes in the net instantly shrank.
That's a great way to put it.
But I do want to throw this out there. If a powerhouse team gets 0 shots, doesn't that sort of validate the critics?
How you mean?
Well, a lot of casual fans were complaining on social media that the final was just a boring watch. If your contracting net just freezes the game entirely, isn't that inherently unentertaining?
Well, it depends on what you're watching for, Thierry Henry's analysis in our sources tackles this exact divide between the casual fan and the tactical purist.
Oh, right. I read that part.
Yeah. So Henry pointed out that casual fans, they only watch the ball. They want end-to-end action, sprints, chaos. But the experts, they watch the space.
Ah, the space.
And Henry didn't find this boring for a single second. He actually said Spain moved like, quote, one organism.
One organism. That's a brilliant phrase. It implies that all 11 guys are sharing a single nervous system out there.
And that is precisely how they operated. Henry noted the mechanics of it. He said almost every single time Spain lost possession of the ball, they won it back within 3 passes.
Wow. Within 3 passes.
Think about the coordination that requires. You can't just run around randomly to do that. All 11 players have to recognize the exact same trigger, press together, and close every passing lane simultaneously.
Right.
They took away the ball, sure, But more importantly, they took away the options.
And Spain's head coach, Luis de la Fuente, he basically laid this out as his grand blueprint.
He really did.
He stated in his press conference that the plan was built around keeping Messi and the dangerous Argentine forwards away from the goal through what he called sheer collective attitude.
Collective attitude, yeah.
It was a demand that every single player sacrifice their individual glory for the structure of the group. He even confidently claimed, and this is wild, that if it hadn't been for the heroics of Argentina's goalkeeper, Spain would have won by a much wider margin.
It's a bold claim to make after a 1-0 final, but the tactical data supports him entirely. I mean, Spain wasn't hoping to outscore Argentina in a chaotic shootout.
No, they didn't want to track meet.
Exactly. They engineered an environment where Argentina simply wasn't permitted to compete. And the engine of that environment really was Rodri.
Oh, man. Rodri is the perfect embodiment of this system. He wins the Golden Ball, right, which is the award for the best player of the entire tournament.
Yeah.
And the sources note that Micah Richards pointed out Pep Guardiola actually predicted this exact trajectory for him. Think about this guy's year.
It's unbelievable.
He comes off a serious knee injury, wins the European Championship, wins the Ballon d'Or, which is essentially the MVP award for the entire globe, and now he wins the World Cup. It's a ridiculous run.
It is. And yet, look at how the Spanish team handled all that success. The locker room culture is so revealing here.
Oh, the tattoo thing.
Right. De La Fuente was literally joking with the press about a promise involving Marc Cucurella. He was saying that the players now owe him a tattoo of his face, but adding that he's, not so ugly.
Right. I love that. They are totally relaxed. There's just a lightness to them.
Well, because unity and relaxation are luxuries afforded by a functional structure. They didn't have to panic at any point during those 120 minutes because they trusted the system to do all the heavy lifting.
That makes total sense.
If someone made a mistake, the organism compensated. But for Argentina, trapped inside that contracting that we talked about, the psychological experience was entirely different.
Completely opposite.
Yeah, when elite athletes realize they are being systematically suffocated, an incredibly intense panic sets in.
And that panic is the bridge to the ugliness we saw. The frustration just morphed into sheer brutality.
It really did.
The sources paint a picture of a match that just completely deteriorated into a physical brawl. We are talking about nearly 50 fouls committed in the game.
50 fouls in one match.
Argentina racked up 4 yellow cards. The rhythm of the match was deliberately, violently broken over and over again.
The tactical battle became a war of attrition, and you can see the exact moment the frustration reaches a critical mass late in normal time.
The red card.
Yeah. Enzo Fernandez goes in for this reckless studs-up challenge on a Spanish teenager. And a studs-up tackle, that is incredibly dangerous. It's the kind of challenge that literally breaks legs.
Yeah, it's bad.
He was immediately shown a straight red card, meaning he was ejected, and Argentina had to survive the entire extra time period down a man.
Which is just as exhausting as that sounds. The real chaos held off until the final whistle. So Spain wins, their substitutes rush the field in pure joy, and immediately the violence kicks off.
It was instantaneous.
The sources detail it player by player. Noel Molina shoves Rodri in the chest. Eric Garcia steps in to defuse it, but then Leandro Paredes grabs Garcia by the throat and violently throws him to the turf.
Right.
Gavi gets knocked over in the ensuing scrum, and then Nicolas Otamendi marches up to Rodri and starts taunting him, saying, "You were crying all week."
Essentially accusing the Spanish team of whining to influence the referees.
Right. And we also have to mention the reports indicating several Argentina players deliberately turned their backs during the official trophy ceremony.
Yeah, that was widely reported.
Now, it is important for us to emphasize that we are simply reporting the sequence of events as they are detailed in the global coverage. We aren't taking sides.
Of course.
But looking at the aggregate of these reports, it just paints a vivid picture of a total breakdown in sporting order. It reminds me of someone playing a grandmaster in chess, and after 40 moves of being boxed into a corner, they realize checkmate is inevitable, so they just stand up and punch the grandmaster in the face.
That's a perfect analogy.
It's a total rejection of the rules of engagement. But I'm curious how the sources interpret this. Is this level of violence just the inevitable boiling point?
What do you mean?
Like if you run yourself ragged for 120 minutes on the biggest stage on earth and you are exhausted and heartbroken, doesn't the pot just naturally boil over sometimes? Is it just exhaustion?
It's a fair question, really, but the analysts and our sources do not let them off the hook with the exhaustion excuse.
They don't.
No, they frame this as a profound mental fragility that Spain exposed. Look, emotional momentum is a powerful force. Argentina has ridden that wave of intense passion to massive success in recent years.
Definitely.
But passion is unpredictable. When a wave of raw emotion crashes against a fortified wall of cold, unyielding discipline, the emotion shatters.
Wow.
Argentina had no systemic backup plan when the passion failed, so the frustration just spilled outside the boundaries of the sport itself.
And the global football community certainly didn't accept the exhaustion excuse either.
Not at all.
The reaction was swift, and it was merciless.
Yeah.
Usually, former players who pivot into broadcasting try to maintain a sense of diplomacy.
Yeah, there's a fraternity there.
Right. There is a fraternity among professional athletes. They tend to protect each other.
Yeah.
But not here.
The backlash was historically unprecedented. You had legendary veterans across 3 different continents, speaking on different networks, delivering a completely unanimous guilty verdict on Argentina's behavior.
Let's synthesize what these legends were saying, because the tone is striking. Zlatan Ibrahimović, who, by the way, is notoriously stingy with his praise, he simply declared, "Football won today."
Yep.
He diagnosed Argentina as relying on dirty tactics because they were mentally fragile under the tactical pressure.
And then Gary Neville called the behavior an absolute, quote, disgrace.
Joe Hart labeled it disgusting. Alan Shearer pointed out that every player knows the agony of losing a final, but there's a right way to lose, and Argentina crossed a line they can't uncross.
And Wayne Rooney specifically zeroed in on Paredes grabbing Garcia by the throat, calling it embarrassing and not good enough.
And Roy Keane was perhaps the most pointed of them all.
Oh, absolutely.
He said Argentina couldn't handle getting a taste of their own medicine. He brought up their historical tendency to play the role of the aggressor, referencing past matches against teams like England, and he heavily praised Spain for refusing to back down.
Keane's ultimate verdict was simple. He said, you've got to take your medicine.
I find this fascinating, but I do want to push back on the messengers here a little bit.
Okay, go for it.
Aren't guys like Roy Keane and Zlatan famous for being incredibly aggressive, highly controversial, like borderline violent players during their own eras?
Oh, 100%.
Zlatan threw elbows. Keane practically ended careers with some of his tackles. It feels a bit hypocritical for these specific guys to be clutching their pearls and acting horrified by a post-match brawl.
I completely see your point, but the sources actually suggest that their history as aggressive players is exactly why their criticism carries so much weight.
How so?
They aren't speaking as moral purists. They are speaking as enforcers of a specific athletic code.
Oh, an unspoken code of conduct.
Exactly. When a notoriously ruthless player like Roy Keane tells you that you've crossed a line, you haven't just broken a written rule, you've violated the code of the competitor.
I see.
That code dictates that you are absolutely allowed to be physical and you are allowed to be tough during the run of play.
Right.
But if you play that way, you absolutely must be able to take it when a superior team shuts you down. Keane's fury isn't about the existence of violence, it's about the petulance. It's the inability to handle adversity with any kind of dignity when the shoe is on the other foot.
You've got to take your medicine.
Exactly.
That phrase makes so much more sense in that context. It's not about the crime of being physical. It's the hypocrisy of a tough team crying when they get out-toughed.
And we see that demand for excellence from these pundits bleeding into how they viewed the rest of the event, too. They were in a completely uncompromising mood all day.
That's a great point. The sources note they were tearing into the entire production of the final, not just Argentina. The halftime show was universally panned by the European studios.
Oh, yeah.
Wayne Rooney sarcastically noted, "My favorite part was when it ended," and Keane just dismissed the whole spectacle as an anticlimax.
They had zero patience for theatrics. They just wanted pure, uncompromising football.
They even went after the tournament awards.
Right, the Golden Boot.
Yeah. Shearer and Rooney publicly challenged the decision to give Kylian Mbappe the Golden Boot as the tournament's top scorer. Their argument was that goals scored in a lower-stakes third-place playoff match shouldn't carry the exact same mathematical weight as goals scored under the crushing pressure of a World Cup final.
They were scrutinizing the integrity of the entire sport on that given Sunday. They were demanding a standard of excellence, both in how the game is structurally played and in how it is respected by its participants.
And Spain, with their absolute discipline, met that standard.
Yes. And Argentina, in those chaotic final moments, fell drastically short.
And the contrast between the loud, violent anger on the pitch and the quiet devastation in the locker room afterward is genuinely tragic.
The aftermath described in these reports paints a very sad picture of the Argentine leadership. You have Lionel Scaloni, the head coach, sitting in the press conference crying real tears.
Wow.
He completely abandoned the defensive posturing you normally see from coaches. He gracefully admitted that Spain was simply the better team. He called Messi the greatest player in history, expressed deep uncertainty about his own future as the manager, and was eventually so overcome with emotion that he actually had to leave the room.
And Messi himself is a ghostly presence in all of this.
He really is.
The sources make a point to mention that he took absolutely no part in the brawl. While his teammates are throwing punches and grabbing throats, the reports say Messi just stood there in silence, crying.
It's a haunting image.
It really is. The chaos is swirling all around him, and he is just frozen, absorbing the reality of the defeat.
It's an image that leads the analyst to a very specific, undeniable conclusion about the way this team was built. Argentina was fatally exposed as being far too dependent on the magic of Lionel Messi.
Right.
For years, they have relied on his singular, transcendent genius to bail them out whenever they face a tactical deficit.
Yeah, of course.
But when Spain's systemic net finally neutralized Messi, Argentina had no structural answer. They only had their emotional reliance on their savior, and when that shattered, the entire team collapsed.
I understand the criticism. I really do.
Yeah.
But is it entirely fair?
What do you mean?
Like, if you have the undeniable greatest player in the history of the sport on your roster, don't you have to build your entire operation around his magic?
It's tempting, sure.
You feed off the emotional high of his presence. It feels harsh for analysts to label this a flaw when this exact hero-centric strategy has won them major trophies for years.
It's a massive gamble, and that's the double-edged sword the sources are really highlighting. Yes, relying on a singular genius can win you championships when that genius is clicking. But compare Argentina's hero ball approach with Spain's 11-player organism. A collective system can survive a bad day.
That's true.
If Spain's star striker is having an off night, the system still functions. The pressing still works. The passing lanes are still closed. The organism survives.
Yeah.
But an emotional reliance on one person is incredibly fragile. The moment that one person is contained, the entire foundation of the team disappears.
It's like putting all your eggs in one beautifully talented basket. It looks amazing while you're carrying it, but the second you drop the basket, absolutely everything breaks at once.
And Spain made sure they dropped the basket.
They definitely did. So as we wrap up this massive stack of analysis, what is the ultimate takeaway for you listening? I think the core lesson bleeding through every single one of these sources is the triumph of structure over pure emotion.
Definitely.
Discipline, architectural structure, and collective sacrifice will ultimately outlast raw emotional momentum.
Oh, wait.
When the pressure reaches its absolute highest peak, whether you are playing in a World Cup final, or managing a crisis at work, or navigating a personal challenge, you don't rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your systems.
That is the enduring lesson. True mastery is so often defined by what you do when you don't have control.
Right.
How do you behave and how does your system function when things aren't going your way? Spain proved that mastering the space when you don't have the ball is how you eventually win it back.
We just watched a beautifully crafted 11-man machine entirely neutralize the greatest individual player in the history of the sport. The contracting net squeezed the life out of hero ball.
It really did.
So I want to leave you with this provocative thought to mull over. As sports science, data analytics, and tactical coordination continue to evolve at this rapid, unstoppable pace, did the 2026 World Cup final just prove that the era of the one-man carry, the transcendent, game-breaking genius who can put a team on his back and win it all by himself, is finally dead?
It is a question that challenges the very way we fundamentally idolize athletes today.
It really does. It makes you rethink what greatness actually looks like.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this historic unraveling.
Yeah, let us know what you think.
Drop a comment and let us know which post-match verdict hit you the hardest. Was it Zlatan's cold assessment that football won? Roy Keane's enforcer logic telling them to take your medicine? Or the tragic reality of Scaloni's tears? Until next time, keep looking beneath the surface.